I think we're going live. Let's just see. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything in here yet. No, hang on. Oh, there we go. Oh man, there's one hell of a delay. Probably doesn't matter. Yeah, I don't even know how to do that, so it's all good. Let's just roll with it.
Bit of a lag, so I'm just waiting. You there, Dan? All right. Still waiting for to hear my voice. Still nothing, yeah, but it's just the latency, so I'm waiting for it to come through. It's pretty late. Oh, yeah, there we go. All right. Oh, I'm in now. Picture? Yeah, I can see the. I can see the. Yeah, it's all good. I can see the machine and on the left, and then text box on the right, and then up the top the title. So, all right. Alrighty, we are live, guys. I don't know if anyone can hear me. I'm actually talking through Dan's live stream. He set it up for me, so he's pushed start on his machine, and we are ready to go. I think he's set everything up. You can see the acrylic block. This is the first time I'm actually watching this, so I'm quite excited to see how it goes. But here it goes. It looks like it's starting. So there's a little bit of latency also in the audio as well, so I'm probably going to be a little bit delayed. But wow, this is pretty exciting because Jace looks like it's. Wonder how much material will be left after we've finished with it, in how much cleanup will be required. Probably not that much. All right, we've got two, so that's probably me and you, I'd imagine. Yeah, I think it's cutting off when the bed moves. I'll share the link to people, but I think everyone's pretty much asleep, so it's going to be tough. I'll share it in a couple of. That's all right. You can just. I'll keep the audio going, and you could chime in the comments if you have time. All right. Yeah, the questions. I'll try my best to, if we get anyone. All right. I don't know if anyone's here. We've got 4 people watching. So just say hello if you're joining the stream. What we're going to be doing is it's just having a little chat about the WiiSP, my current project that I'm working on. A bit of a collaboration now with Daniel here, DMCKE5 from BitBuild. So what we're doing is we're machining the top half today. So just the 2 screen halves out of a block of acrylic. I can't actually remember the dimensions of it, but Dan might be able to chime in with that. But no, it just fits the 2 halves, so it's going to be interesting to see whether it cracks or not. Dan's pretty confident in the structural integrity of acrylic, even though it's easy to crack apparently. So I suppose it's just the only thing we can see is we can watch and see how it goes. But you can see the outline there, which looks good. And obviously we watched it all, the toolpathing simulation in Fusion 360 to see how it was going to turn out anyway. And yeah, but I'm excited. If anyone has any questions about the build or anything like that, and sort of how long it's been going on and what's to come next, that would be great. Yeah, just post your question, and I'd be happy to answer about portabilizing or and Dan will. I don't think Dan can join the audio at the moment, but he's in the comments section answering people's questions about machining. You can ask him about his sort of history about his machining sort of history and where he got into it, and how you can learn as well. But this is his own personal machine, so he designed this himself and built it from scratch, which is really impressive. So his machine is capable of doing aluminum or aluminium if you're from Australia and the other places that say that. But his machine is capable of it. But I believe I might be wrong here, but the spindle spins very fast on his machine. And aluminum and harder materials generally are better for, I think, slow speeds. I might be wrong there, but I think that's a general rule. But yeah, not much to explain. There's a lot of material building up on the outside there, which is going to be interesting. This is obviously the top half, which is pretty thin, but when we move on to the bases, it's about a 30 mil piece, I think we're going to use for that. So there'll be a lot more to shave off than what we see here. But yeah. But yeah, I'm not sure if anyone is here. But I can talk a little bit about the build. So this is going to be, I'd say I'd like to call it a prototype, but I think this is going to be the final build. Acrylic, I'm not sure exactly how well it comes off the bed. I'm pretty sure that it requires a bit of sanding, mainly because you'll see a lot of the machining marks and things and that like that. But it should be pretty optically clear, I think, with a wet sand and very, very high grits of sandpaper. So I think the finish, the overall post-processing and the finish will depend on how well I can sand the case down to get it as clear as I possibly can. But I'm not sure whether I'm going to paint it or not. I think translucent paint would look really nice. One of the members of our forum recently just showed us that acrylic paints do work well even on an SLA printed case, but I'm pretty confident that acrylic will be even clearer than that. But we will see. But overall looks pretty good. Nothing's getting damaged yet. We haven't done anything too much in detail, but I actually can't hear the machine. I'm not sure if you guys can hear it or not in the audio, but it's not overly that loud. It doesn't sound like. So it is a little bit loud, but I couldn't even imagine what aluminium would sound like. Probably very loud. I don't have my own CNC machine. I live in a small apartment, so it'll be kind of a pain to get it all done here. I think I'd piss the neighbors off, but so yeah, the aim of this is to get it finished. I think the deadline to get this portable finished is, for me at least, by the end of the year. Potentially after the end of the year. Depends if we get this machining done. Dan is pretty busy, I think, and going away, so hopefully we'll be able to get that finished and get it sent out to me in Japan within the next month or so. No guarantees, but yeah, I'm hoping before Christmas would be nice to finish it. The PCB design is pretty much complete. I've done a lot of the checks for all of that. I can't show you guys on stream because Dan is. Oh, okay, can't hear it. No problem. Right, probably sounds a little weird seeing. Maybe we can add some music or something like that. I'll ask Dan to do that a little bit later. I think the machining process is going to take roughly 2 hours. So again, yeah, I'm not sure how interesting this is. For me, it's really interesting because I've never seen this happen, but it's my own case design, obviously, and never seen a CNC machine at work. So yeah, but yeah, as I said, the PCB design is coming very close to an end. I'd say just a couple of final checks, and then I'll probably order it through JLC PCB 4-layer. I did get some quotes from PCB Way and some other fab houses as well, but I just think that they were way too expensive. I think JLC's solder mask and all of their accuracies, I think, with everything is exceptionally good. I've never had any complaints, and the copper pads never really lift. I don't know whether my soldering skills have gotten better or whether they just the copper itself is better quality. But OSH Park, I've had some PCBs where the solder mask hasn't lined up properly, and you've had exposed ground pads and things that have shorted stuff out. So I'll definitely be going with JLC PCB. I think it was $40 or something for 20 PCBs, which is just ridiculous for a 4-layer. And PCB, we're going to charge me something like $180 for a 4-layer. So recommend JLC if you're tight on budget. And yeah, I think JLC do a hassle finish, which is not as flat. The copper is not as flat on the exposed pads, but compared to OSH Park, I think they do a standard ENIG finish, which is a lot flatter for SMD soldering. But I don't think it makes a big difference. I've never had any issues with the hassle finishes. So no, it's exciting to see. I'm really excited to have this project done. I wouldn't even call it my own project now. I think Dan has helped me so much with improving the CAD model and getting it ready for assembly. So, and obviously all of this machining is pretty time consuming. So, but it looks like it's just carving through the plastics very easily at the moment. So, I think Dan will come back sort of momentarily, and when if I'm might be wrong here, but the current tool bit is 2 mil, 4 mil, I think. I might be wrong there, but once the cutting is done for this bit, he will come back and change over the bit to get to the different angles and stuff. For example, the curved hinge part of the case, that will use a ball nose cutter just so that it can cut at angles. That will take quite a while for such a small bit of material to be removed, but you can really see now it's really it's getting a bit messy in there. So I'd also like to see the cleaning process, how he actually cleans. I've seen in some mills where they have like a thermal cooling, but I'll be back in a second. I've just gotta. That's the lunch. My lunch just arrived, so I'll be back in a second. If you have any questions, guys, just leave them in the comments. Alrighty, guys, I'm back. Sorry, but there's a fair bit of latency, I think, between my voice and the stream. So if I take a while to reply, I do apologize, but yeah, I think, yeah, the noise is, yeah, probably a little bit annoying after 2 hours. But yeah, Dan is here to answer any of your questions on the machining process, or any general questions, whether you want to design a case or advice that he can give. So if you have a question, just post it in the chat and he will respond. He's a lot more experienced than I am. Not sure if people can hear me. Just double check. I think there's a 30-second delay on the stream, so just let me know if. Can hear me? Just double check. I think that's. All right. So people can hear me. There is a latency of about a minute. So it's really, really bad. Not sure what's going on there, but yeah. I am going to respond to your questions probably a minute late, so keep that in mind. Hear me? There is a latency of about a minute. Not sure what's going on there, but yeah. I am going to respond to your questions probably a minute late, so keep that in mind. Yeah, I think I put my headphones in before, and then it just disconnected the audio or something. So not sure, but I've removed them, and you should be able to hear me again. See you for about a minute. Remove them. You literally cannot even see the part now. It's starting to become just one big sort of shrapnel mess with the plastic. So tough to see, but I think that makes it even more exciting when you blow the little pieces of plastic off and the, I guess, dust to see what it's going to look like. So we've been streaming for what, 30 minutes now. So it's much of a muchness. I guess the same thing going on. I think roughly 2 hours to finish. Well, we've got 7 viewers, so thanks for tuning in, guys. If you're just joining now, we've got Dan on the chat, Daniel McKenzie, that this is his CNC, and I'm the one talking for some reason, even though he's answering all of the questions about the machine, and hopefully it's not the best timing with sort of most of the bit built guys, the community that we're a part of, is they're probably sleeping, given that we're on the eastern side of things. I think we're streaming this at 4:40 right now in Australia's time, and I'm in Japan, so it's 3:30 here. I think it's about 2 a.m. in Eastern Standard Time in the States, so everyone is probably having a nice sleep. But you can see now it's really interesting seeing you can really see watching the machine how it comes in, and the angle of the tool and how it creates those radius. You need those radiuses in the corners, which is it's really interesting to me, at least. So a lot of the design, when you CNC, everything has to have an internal radius, because you can't have a square 90-degree angle coming in with a round tool. It just doesn't work. So that's one thing I know. If that's it's a little bit yeah, common sense, I guess, but I didn't know it at the beginning of designing this because I'd never even touched a CNC machine. So, but it looks like it's doing pretty well. This doesn't look like there's too much vibrations going on or any movement, obviously. So so far so good, I'd say. Can't really see much because of the plastic, but thing about this is Dan was really kind to help me out with this project. I call this a collab project now. I think it's not really my own project. I mean, I've done a lot of the PCB design and obviously the overall shape and stuff. But Dan really helped me with the remodeling the design really from the ground up, showing me little tips and tricks on how to get everything looking good. And yeah, I think I have a bad habit when doing modeling of just seeing an error and then doing something quickly to fix it right the sort of wrong way. Um, but no, Dan was really precise and not wanting to have any errors in SolidWorks at all. So he doesn't cut any corners, which is really shows in his work, I think. But we forgot to add music to the stream, guys. So it probably sounds a bit boring hearing my Aussie accent, but we might add some later. We'll see. But the acrylic does look decently yellow in color. I was thinking that it was going to be more clear straight out of the um, sort of the actual raw material itself. I thought was going to be a little clearer than that. But I'm sure the sanding will really help. It's going to be tough to sand it, I think. Maybe this part won't be too difficult, but the inside cases are going to be really horrible. Maybe I can use a Dremel with a buffing wheel or something, very on low speeds. Uh, but we'll see. I'll have to do some research on what the best solution for that is, the post processing. If anyone has any tips or advice, be sure to leave them for acrylic. I think sandpaper and 2000 plus grits is going to be the best solution for this. Uh, Maybe some polishing compound or something as well. But yeah, it won't look as good as it's going to look with the post processing. Obviously, it's coming off the bed. I don't think it's going to be like you know um, SLA or anything like that. I mean, well, yeah, but Yeah. I think roughly it would cost around 3K down. Dan was saying maybe more for a decent machine, which can cut a lot of materials. Some people have linked me, oh, cut your SP on this $200 CNC machine, and yeah, look, probably not going to work well. I would guess for $300, you're not going to be able to get the same level of production quality or anything like that you would get maybe say from a $200 to $300 ender or 3D printer that's going to actually finish the part well. It's yeah, just not going to happen. Um, so I think yeah, I mean this process is pretty damn expensive. By the time you set up the machine, I mean Dan did it pretty damn quickly, but professional businesses were charging a lot of money to. It's really taking a lot of material out there pretty quickly. So that's definitely cool to see. Um, the tool part, the pathing there that it's taking is awesome. Um, but yeah, to get this done professionally, you think up to $800, $900 for just one shell, which is just kind of insane. Um, so I could not afford that at all. So Dan's been really kind to help me out with this. I owe him big time. Um, really taking a lot of material. I'm seriously like concerned right now that it's going to sort of snapping the crap out of it. We'll see how we do here, but God, it's yeah. Hopefully, it's really cool to see actually. Um, so it looks like it's finally taking the final pass out now to screen. So this is yeah. Wow, God. I'm scared that it's like one slip and it's ruined the whole case. So I'm sure it'll be fun. Hopefully. But maybe someday we can, if I get a lot of interest, for example, I could buy a lot of aluminium cases in bulk and sell some. If people are interested in that, I think that I'm going to make this open source eventually at the end of the day. So if people want to build one, rather than having a 3D printed case, I could potentially buy, maybe 10 or 15 aluminum cases and sell them for, a little bit over, or I could help people build them or whatever. I'm not entirely sure, but if people wanted to have their own aluminum case for this, that's certainly a possibility to get professionally made, and then I could sell them on the Bitbuild store, for example. But if we would need sort of have pre-orders and things like that, so not entirely sure how plausible that is going to be. But wow, you can really see it's starting to take shape now. This is really exciting. I think Dan's going to come back and change the bit for the little hinge there. That they're currently like 2D. Oh, sorry, not 2D, just square. But they are going to be um, semicircles, I guess, or half a semicircle. It's going to have a radius on the ends there, so that the current bit won't be able to do that. But damn, it's looking really nice. Super excited, super excited. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but yeah, when you're designing your own case and you've sort of had, you've designed it for 3 or 4 months and then you get to see this happening, it's just the best thing ever. And God, it looks great. Did I say something stupid? I probably did. If I say anything stupid, feel free to correct me. I've had a few coffees, so maybe I'll say something dumb, but Ah, yes. Well, that might happen. Not entirely sure. But as I said, I'm hoping by probably the beginning of next year, just to give a little bit of, I guess, flexibility around that date. I don't want to make any promises, but I think that would be the ideal goal, to have all of the case open source, all of the code, and everything like that available, and then people can just build one. They can either use a 3D printer, or we get enough sort of interest in some machine cases. I could easily. I think the more we buy, the cheaper they become. So it depends on the interest levels. But I might create a little spreadsheet and see if we can get enough people interested. And geez, what is going on with the machine? It looks like it's cleaning up the bits. I have no idea what's going on. But yeah, maybe Dan can chime in on that. But yeah, as I said, the more the cheaper it becomes. So if we can get like 20 people interested, then and we get some, I get a deposit. We could easily purchase 20 for a reasonable price. I think what was it, something like 20 or 30 cases. The cases become like $70 each or $80, which is pretty reasonable for a full aluminum case. Yeah, it looks like it's ghost carving, so I'm not sure if that's supposed to be happening. Let's hope that it is not going to chop anything out. Dan's assured me that it should be okay, but let's wait and see, I guess. Um, looks like it's okay. It'd be nice to have Dan here on chat, but he's pretty busy tonight, so I think he couldn't join us. Maybe next time on the weekend or something, if we manage to get time. But I think that was the inner part of the screen, maybe. So maybe it's all right. I don't know exactly. Um, yeah, still looks all right. It looks like we're getting a bit of interest for the case, so that's good. But just to give a little moving away from the case and to talk about the assembly and things like that, there's about 100 and let me have a look quickly. So I've got just making a bill of materials for this now. So that'll be open source as well, obviously. We've got 160 parts in total for the PCB. So it's not going to be that fun to assemble. Um, yeah, we seem to be air cutting where we were. So as long as it hasn't cut into anything it doesn't need to, I guess we'll be all right, I guess, Dan. But let's wait and see. But yeah, the PCB is like 160 bucks. Oh, sorry, 160 parts. So the PCB will be about $40-50 for 5 from JLC, and then we're gonna have the parts, which I haven't got a price for the parts, but I'd imagine around $80 or $90. So it's pretty expensive. About $150 for everything, but that includes your USB-C power delivery. You've got data transfer on there, UAMP with custom firmware. So it's got a volume wheel and stuff for controlling the volume, a power switch. It's basically got everything on the PCB. So yeah, overall, it's probably going to cost you'd be set with say $70 for the aluminum case, and then 150 for the PCB and the parts, so 220, and then everything else as well, the Wii batteries and stuff is separate. So it's not a cheap project, but look, they never are with these things anyway. Okay, I didn't know that the cutting air. I'm not sure if maybe Dan can chime in and saying I think QB Shrugs is saying that cutting air is a good thing. Not entirely sure how you actually keep the end mills cool. Like I don't know if it gets that. Probably doesn't get that hot. I'd imagine cutting plastic, like compared to aluminum, obviously. Um, I've seen it in huge mills where they sort of have this thermal compound that they spray all over the material, um, and that keeps it really cool. I'd imagine. I'm so concerned about this snapping. To be honest, God, anything can happen. This is the first time we're doing this, so it might not come out well. Yes, there we go. So that's done. Now Dan will come back and check. I'll just let him know that we have to change the bits. And we'll be back with, I think the next bit is going to be the ball nose. So we'll be cutting a lot of the radiuses of the case. If nothing's screwed up, we'll see. But a fair bit of material left over. Not sure how Dan cleans that. Vacuum, I guess. Be cool to actually see him clean it, but yeah, this case will be all sanded flat anyway, so even if there is some slight ridges or anything like that, I don't think it's going to be a huge problem. But yeah. Certainly cool. I really enjoyed seeing, particularly I think the cutting out the screen piece was awesome. Seeing those fragments of plastic fly out, I was really concerned there was going to be some sort of damage there, huge damage, but and I'm pretty sure Dan will be back to change the bits when he can. And then how long have we been going now? 50 minutes. So I'd say not too much longer to go, maybe an hour or something. A bit longer, maybe. But I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly enjoyed watching it. My first ever sort of experience seeing it happen. So I guess, yeah, probably a bit boring once you've seen it many, many times. But for someone who's seeing it for the first time, I guess it's kind of exciting. We'll be back shortly, guys. I'm just going to head off for a little bit. We'll be back in maybe 10 or 15, 20 minutes, something like that. So if you want to get a drink or just have something to eat or something, now might be a good time to do that. A little bit off topic there. So the original hinge, the hinge mechanism that we've come up with for the design is baked into the case is based on the SP hinges, which are really quite good. I've got 2 in there and they hold the weight pretty well. It'd be nice to go a little bit stronger, I think, but they do the job. Even though the SP screen is super loud in the original, this one weighs a bit more than and stuff. Obviously, in the SP you just have the screen, and then you have the ribbon cable that ran through the hinge, and then down into the PCB in the base. Unfortunately. Alrighty, guys. Looks like we are back, and Dan's cleaned up the machine. We can see how it's looking. It's looking really nice. God, I'm super excited. Keep saying that, but I better stop saying that. But it's looking good. So yeah, we are doing the ball nose cutting now. The radii, I guess, the radius part of um, the hinge bits. So within the top case there is some uh, basically slots or keys that will slide that basically allow the hinge to be pushed in and not rotated. So that the way it works is the GBA ASP Game Boy Advance SP hinges. We can use aftermarket ones or OEM ones. If you've got both, it doesn't really matter. But you would simply to insert them, it's pretty easy. All you do is you assemble the case, so put the screen in, and obviously run all your wiring through the hinge, and then you screw the two halves together. So there's 4 screws. You're gonna have M2 threads in them, so they're all going to be hand tapped by Dan, but you can obviously tap them yourself. Which would be probably easier if it's a 3D printed case anyway. So you could just hand tap them, screw them in, and the plastic will just the screw will eat into the plastic, and you'll be fine. So 4 screws to shut it, and then once you've done that, you would line up the screen exactly to the angle that you want it to snap at. So it's for me, I think the best angle, at least for this case, is a little. I would say not 170 degrees, but more say 150 or 60 degrees, I think is a good snapping angle for the screen. So you'd hold it in that position and then line up the little keys. So you've got like a female key built into the hinge, and then you just push them in. And then that will be the position that the screen snaps at. So pretty easy. I took a while to figure it out. But yeah, once you push those in, there's also in the top half of the case, there's going to be little grub screws that you can just screw in straight through the bottom, and that will allow the part of the hinge that's connected to the screen will rotate freely, and then the other part is fixed completely in place, so that won't rotate. That's the last thing we want to happen, I guess. But the actual finish itself is really tight. Um, Obviously, with a hinge, you don't want it to be loose, otherwise you're going to have issues. So we've made it pretty much just up, smack on size, maybe a little bit of tolerance, but not much at all. The more you have, I think the more chances you've got the hinge of spinning and not working as desired. So even the grub screw might not be required, because once you screw the case down anyway, it gets pretty tight and around there anyway. But yeah, we've got that just in case. So yeah, the SP only has 1 snap angle, not 2. So if you remember the NDS Lite, and I think the 3DS as well, that has 2 snapping angles. Or it might only be the NDS Lite actually. I think the 3DS XL only had 1. But yeah, you can only select 1 particular angle that you want the screens to snap at. You can't have 2 like the DS. So, and I did have a look at the DS hinges. They're pretty similar, so you could easily design the hinge part of the case to accept DS Lite hinges if you really wanted. But they're 4 SP hinges, so you'll have to buy some of those on AliExpress or Taobao or whatever. So that's the hinges. They work really well. I've done about 4 or 5 test prints on the plastic cases, on the 3D printed on my Prusa, and it all fits decently well. The only thing is with a 3D printer is that we've realized that the holes shrink quite a bit. Once they cool down, the plastic tends to shrink. So the holes are probably a little too tight. So I get in there with a file and file down the excess plastic just so the hinge fits in just right. I think pushing it in the current model is pushing a little bit too much, I think. So if you try to force the hinges in, you'll end up snapping the hinges off, and you'll have to reprint the entire top half. So just be careful when you do that if you're going to build one. So yeah, I'd recommend filing those down just to make it a nice fit. But in the CNC model is pretty accurate. So but it's certainly a smaller bit now. I think we're using a 3mm Is that correct, Dan? 2 mil maybe. Not exactly sure what bit we're using, but yeah, it's completely flat bottom, so kind of cool. And I really like it. You could really see it's coming to shape now, particularly on the right. It really looks like the real thing. So I can't wait to hit my, to receive it and hit it with some sandpaper. And it doesn't look like it snaps so fast, so that's all right. Flat bottom, so kind of cool. And I really like it. You can really see it's coming to shape. So yeah, the purpose of the ball cutter is to put a radius on all of the internal corners and outside. So it's going around now. You can see it's doing a loop around the outside. I think if I remember in the toolpath thing, this is going to take quite a while, just going around a million times. I think it was something like 5 or 10 minutes, if I remember. But yeah, it's just going round and round and round and round and round just to make sure it's got a radius on the outside. So I've got the model here. I've opened it up back in Fusion. So let me give you some dimensions of the full case. So I've got everything here. Let me quickly just. Okay. So from top to bottom, excluding the screen, we've got a total dimension from top to bottom without the batteries of 30.4 mils. So not that thin, but it is what it is. So that's 30.4 from the top of the base of the clam to the bottom of the clam, and then we've also got including the batteries, we have. Let me quickly check. 37.1 mils. So that's pretty thin. It was about 43 or 4 in the previous model. We've shaved off like 5 or 6 mils, so it's looking really nice. So it's really comfortable, surprisingly. I know that sounds kind of funny, but from the 3D prints and stuff, when you hold it, particularly the action buttons, so the ABXY and the main control stick there on the top left of the design, that is really, really comfortable. It's only when you have to reach for the D-pad and the other button or the other joystick that it becomes pretty crampy. But overall, it feels really nice. The grips are awesome. And then you've got the triggers as well, which are a little cramped. I'm going to admit, with adult sized hands, it's not the ideal gaming portable to be comfortable. But look, when I built this, it was not really going to be like, I don't get that much time to play it anyway. I just wanted something small that I could carry around with me on the train or something, and pick it, pull it out and play. So I think we said 30.4 from the top of the base to the bottom, and then I'll just quickly do the screen as well, so that we can figure out what the thickness is. So I'll just add the top of the screen thickness to the base. So the screen is 10.75. So we've got 10.75 plus 30.4. It's at 41.15 millimeters thick. So I'm waiting for Wes to tell me that it's an absolute thick bitch right now. But look, it is what it is. It's pretty good, I think, for having lithium batteries in there. It's probably could be optimized even further with a different design, perhaps with heat pipes or removing that entirely. But it is tough. It's only got 2 lithium cells, so it'll last about 2.5 hours, I'd say, which is still pretty good. Oh yes, Terence, the buttons were SLA printed by, I believe, Terence. I think the guy on the BitBuilt forums. I reached out to him, Advent Matrix, and he was able to help me out. So I think with a bit of sanding, they'll look all right. They came out pretty decently. I was a bit concerned at first because there was a bit of fluff stuff on the outside when he sent me a picture, but overall they look pretty good. So the actual design of the buttons is kind of interesting as well, because there's little travel on the actual button presses. They're basically one assembly, so you just throw you throw ABXY buttons in, and they're all connected through like a crosshair, I guess you could say, like a middle piece of plastic that slightly flexes. So yeah, it's kind of a nice design. And then the D-pad is also haven't tested any of those yet. I might actually print those tonight on the 3D printer and give them a try and see what it's going to be like. But no, overall, super excited for the buttons. Could have made them clear as well, but look, I think you want to have a bit of contrast with the design. At least that's my personal preference. It's having black buttons and or different colored buttons to completely clear. I think it doesn't look as good. Yeah, maybe machine buttons would look really nice, but yeah, uh, you know, don't want to ask Dan too much. It's it is what it is. So it'll be good. So final dimensions, we said 41 mil, which is pretty good for a clamshell, I guess. It's still thick. I think just for reference, I think G-Man's, who was a member on the Bit forums, his N64 SP was something like 55 millimeters, or maybe even thicker than that. So I feel proud of that at least, even though his is an N64. But yeah, this is, I think his might be thicker than that. Let's just say. But anyway. But for anyone who's not familiar with the build, if you want to check it out, I'll just quickly post a link to the work log in the comments section. It's been going on for quite a while now. It's kind of like a 6-page work log, so I've made a lot of changes and stuff. Please see if I can post that in the comments there. So the radius on the outside of this is pretty small, if I remember. It's something like 0.5 mil all the way around, so it's pretty tiny radius, and a lot of cutting required for such a small radius, which is interesting actually. I would have thought it would have been the opposite, but it looks like it's going around several times to get that radius. Certainly a lot less material coming off the machine this time, or coming off the part. The part. But maybe if Dan's got time at the end, he can lift it off the machine and show you guys what it looks like straight off the machine. That'll be interesting to see if we've had any issues or cracks or anything like that. But it shouldn't crack. I think the only reason it would crack is that if I screw up the assembly or I drop it or something, which is I don't plan on doing. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But it got Sorry guys about that. I'm back, and yeah, it's looking really nice. I think at the moment. Still going around. I don't know how long we've been going around in circles, but I would say this is like the 30th pass or something like that. It's taking its sweet time. It's a lot of work to get a 0.5 millimeter radius, that's for sure. So the same thing happening, it looks like, going around and adding the radius to this side. So it is going to take a little bit of time. Obviously, you can see between two halves, we had to make sure there was enough gap for the diameter of the bit to pass through. So that's no problem. But moving away from the WiiSP, if you're interested in it's a bit late now, but obviously the BitBuild contest was a good success this year. There was, quite a few entries. This was supposed to enter the contest, but I had issues with the PCB, and to redeem myself, I figured that I had to make something that was really awesome, hence the machining. Because I had some issues with the PCB and the BMS circuit. It was just pretty poorly designed. From my point of view, everything was pretty cramped, so I redesigned the entire PCB from scratch, and we've redesigned the entire case from scratch. But my point is, if you haven't checked out Dan's project yet, I would definitely go and check out his UFO concept portable, running a I can't even remember what it's running. Sorry, Dan. It's been a while since I remember this project, but be sure it's on his channel. It's the DIY concept UFO. And if it doesn't win first place, we ride. But no, I'm joking. We should hopefully see it do well. But yeah, that's entirely machined from aluminium. And okay, it's a tablet inside of that, but maybe Dan can comment on that a little bit more if he is in the chat. But definitely go and check that out. I'd say vote for him, but the contest is already done. So we're still waiting on the results. We love you, Noah, but God, we know you're a busy guy, but it's been quite a while since the contest closed. I think almost 2 months, and we haven't heard anything. So, but hopefully that'll be soon. Noah's been super busy with G-Boy kits and I think other stuff. So he's making a video, and we should hear hopefully this weekend. It's supposed to be last weekend. It's supposed to be the weekend before last weekend. But yeah, we will hopefully get some sort of results soon. I think the best three submissions were, I'd say, Dan's, and then you've got Ginger of Oz, and yeah, I think there was one other particular one that was quite good. The PS2 was quite nice by Mr. Kane as well. I think his turned out really nice. I think he had an acrylic sheet over the top, which was kind of cool. But yeah, mine didn't enter obviously, so that sucked. But we're making up for it now, and that's the main thing. But if you want to enter the contest, there's really no requirements. As long as you do everything yourself, and it's a DIY maker project, that's all that we would require. for the entry, as long as you do all the work yourself. You know, you can have other people machine your case or print your case or whatever like that, but the main design, the main internals and stuff has to be all assembled by yourself. So you can't have people painting your case or do anything like that. It just wouldn't make it fair. So, but no, the contest will open again next year. After my terrible, terrible performance this year, I'm not sure if I would join to the contest again. It was kind of stressful, to be honest, trying to finish and rush it by the deadline. And I think my current state of the case that I've painted, you know, meticulously is now ruined through the frustration of not finishing. I think I snapped a few things and got pretty angry. You know, so it is a rush against a deadline to finish, even though Dan finished, I think, 3 months before the deadline anyway. So he's a bit of a wizard. But the contest is good fun, and it was just 1 year that, you know, potentially other people could have won except G-Man because he didn't enter. So you know, it's fortunate that he didn't. But anyway, so I think after this bit we have one more bit. I think might be it actually. I think there's one more tool change if I remember. Um, can't exactly. I think it's a even smaller head or smaller diameter tool for the next change, and then that should be it. Okay, I lied. There's a few more to go. I didn't watch all of the toolpath thing. Dan and I did it a little bit last night, and then we had, I think, 3 bits then. Maybe he did more in the final toolpath thing. Okay, so there you go. 4 more changes to come, which is a lot more than I thought. It's going to be interesting actually because I think the top, obviously the top of that screen is done, right? So the top half of the screen has those machining marks through it. They're left there. I'm not sure if they're supposed to be there or not. Maybe Dan comes in with a small tool and shaves those off. Maybe he can chime in there. I'm not sure what happens there. And unless I just sand those down, I think I remember something similar with the with his Switch Lite Raspberry Pi. It has similar machining marks, toolpath marks left in it. And then I assume you come in with like a Dremel and sand those off, or maybe you can comment on what you do there. That sounds good, Dan. That'd be much better, I think, than listening to my voice. That way we can, yeah, it's probably easier to answer my questions and everyone else's in the voice chat, I think. So no problem. We'll take a maybe hour break, and we'll call it part two, I guess, the next, or you know, when we come back. That way, people can have a bit of intermission, and we can sort the rest of the top half out when we come back. So obviously, I'm assuming that both parts are going to have to be indexed around the outside, the opposite sides flipped over, and then cut in, which I'm assuming will be the next bit. Not sure if Dan's done the toolpathing. We've done the toolpathing for that, but But yeah, I'm just going to quickly head off, guys. I'll be still here watching, but I've got a bit of stuff to do. So if anyone has any questions, just leave them in the comments section, and we'll be sure to answer those. Dan is going to be joining us on voice for the last hour or so after we do the last couple of passes with the tool. So I will leave it there. I'll be available probably when Dan comes back online. So we'll be together for the last hour or so. All right, thanks, guys.